And we are back. Welcome everyone. Hope you enjoyed that lovely duct tape from times gone by. But we have some StarCraft. We have a series on our hand. We predicted it, and it did come to pass. It is going to be a TvZ between these two lovely players. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have the South Korean Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Mystery Gaming. It is Ragnarok. Let's go, puppy. Let's go in. I will. There we go. Just need one moment to quickly fix that lower player name, but it is now done. And already things are popping up. Okay. So the big reason why I wanted to cast this series, one, it's a banger of a matchup, sure. Two, ByuN, he's very fond of his ByuN opener. 2 racks here on the low ground. It's very ByuN-esque. You can make Reapers, you can go into an all-in behind this, or you can macro as well. The last time I casted ByuN versus Ragnarok, it was a couple of weeks ago. I believe it was in the KSL. I believe it was in the Korean StarCraft League. And it was either that or ESL Open Cup Asia. And Ragnarok actually beat ByuN. He brought him down 2-1. 2-1 in a best of 3 series. And it was really close. It was really impactful. It was very back and forth. And I want to see if he can do it again or if it was more of a one-off, especially because ByuN has been playing around a lot with these openers. Last night, or a couple of days ago now, in Kung Fu Cup, we actually saw ByuN go for some really quirky variations. He went for a 2-base 3-rack all-in, not with Reapers, but actually with Marines. He went for a 3CC behind this as well. Like, ByuN has been really varying up the follow-up from this 2-racks, more so than just a 4-racks, or more so than just a 2-on-1. He's got so much more than that, and it's been really interesting to see, it's been interesting to see this build evolve over time. Here we go. As it is just going to be 3 Reapers straight into a 3rd racks behind this. This is looking like a 4th rack should be joining momentarily as well. So I mentioned earlier, a 4 racks is a very common follow-up to this opener. It's a pretty committed push where you just make mass Marines and you hit before your medevacs. But the last time we casted ByuN in the Kung Fu Cup, I believe it was ByuN versus Dark, he went for 3 racks, but no, there we go. It is going to be that 4 racks follow-up. It is a little bit more quote-unquote standard from him. Meanwhile, Ragnarok is staying on 2 bases a little bit longer. Because of the pull first, he has faster queens, he has more lings on the way. We have a very fast Evo chamber. My god. Interesting. With this, we can hit a +1 ling speed timing. I imagine it's going to be +1 carapace. But we'll see, as Ragnarok did delay his 3rd hatchery in favor of this Evo chamber, and there it is. Carapace is on the way. So for those wondering, you may be thinking, does that make sense to get Carapace when you're going to be aggressive? The answer is yes. Specifically in this matchup, this isn't applicable against Protoss, but against Terran, you want Carapace because it keeps your lings, it keeps, more specifically, your banelings alive a little bit longer. Banelings already do more than enough damage to begin with, so Carapace just gives them a little bit more survivability so that they can actually connect with those lings, connect with these Marines, and, you know, survive a little bit longer as they close the distance. Attack upgrades don't really help the baneling do more damage because they're already, like, overkilling the Marine, if that makes sense. And there it is. A Baneling Nest is on the way here for Ragnarok. Because of +1 carapace, it did scream Ling Bane. Would have been crazy if he threw down a Roach Warren, for example. Of course, carapace has other applications in other matchups, especially ZvZ. It's pretty important in ZvZ as well. But yeah, here against the Terran, it can work wonders. The Marines have been revealed. Ragnarok is fully aware of the 4-racks. He's going to be cutting workers here at 38, a pretty respectable worker count to stop at. We have queens, we have more lings in production. Again, we don't want to drone up too much more than 40. If we do, then we may just die. Baneling Nest finishes. Do we have Banelings being morphed in? Looks like we're just going to be relying on lings and queens for now. Looking for the surround. This is going to hit like a truck. Stim is done. Oh, and Ragnarok was waiting for ByuN to move on to creep, and here we go. The surround is real. Do we have a grenade? No, we do not. Oh, and ByuN actually does escape in the end. He did lose a lot of Marines. He lost 9 Marines, but that was 36 Lings. It goes to show like how efficiently this army can trade, and this is terrifying. ByuN only lost half of his force. He's reinforcing. He's pushing out again. I do think that Ragnarok needed to wait for the ByuN army to push further into creep. As once again we're going for a surround. We will get it, by the way. A much better engagement here by Ragnarok. This time a full surround. He cleans everything up. This time no stutter stepping was available. And Ragnarok is now going to be able to drone, but no, he's not droning. He's going for an all-in. Again, he's still cut workers at 38 because of +1 CAD base. This Baneling bust is going to be insane. What do we have at home to defend? Nothing. We have Marines. No tanks, no Widow Mines. Bane bust against 4-Rack specifically does so well. And Ragnarok, he rolls up into the natural base. The Reapers go down. The bunker is on the way as well. The Banelings are getting into the mineral line. Oh my god. And the mineral line is going to be falling. The bunker should be able to finish in time, but the Banelings are also here to connect with that. Will they just zone the Marines away? They do just zone them away, but the bunker does finish. We do have a bit of surround as well. These Banelings, they could have connected with the bunker if they so chose to. ByuN is going to be able to barely hold. Again, if this bunker had fallen, then I do think the game would have ended then and there. We're going for another push. We're going for another round. Yeah, add-ons are exposed, so may as well get the add-ons. Makes plenty of sense. Marines are going to be threatening these Lings. Behind this, we have our starport on the way. We have a factory. No third CC, so Ragnarok can take an economic lead as he saturates that third. Lair is on the way for Baneling speed. +1 melee in production as well. This +1 carapace opener from Ragnarok, basically it was almost a hard counter. Almost a hard counter of the 4-Racks. I have to wonder if maybe ByuN is just really prone to going for 4-Axes on Babylon specifically. It was just a really good read out of Ragnarok. Really solid read overall. Meanwhile, we do have the first Liberator hitting the field, but it is going to be spotted here by Ragnarok. He's fully aware. Has to be careful of the Queen. Up. Oh god, the Queen is not going to go down. Whew. Just barely. Queen is going to get saved. Ragnarok does preserve them. We do have a 4th base on the way behind this. Hydrogen as well for Lingbane Hydra. Now, is this Hydrogen too soon? Are we being too greedy? Maybe. ByuN is coming in with a double drop. We do have Banelings. Baneling speed isn't done yet, so this drop has a lot of potential. Up. We almost get a surround going. ByuN attempting to go for a double drop instead. Or committing to his drop, I should say. And we'll see how many Banelings he can snipe as well. It looks like the Baneling speed does finally kick in here for Ragnarok. He's able to shoot back the army of ByuN. Behind this, ByuN doesn't have a 3rd CC. He's pretty all in. The longer this goes on without a 3rd, the more all-in this is for ByuN. He's sending his tanks across the map. This is why I'm worried that the Hydras is just too greedy for Ragnarok. I'm worried that he needs Lingbane more than anything, and he's getting a 4th as we speak. He's investing into Hydras. Like Ragnarok's in trouble. Tanks are in a good position. We do see ByuN laying siege upon this hatchery. Yeah, hatchery is going to be going down. Ragnarok cannot hold on to it. Yeah, ByuN knows that he's going to squeeze out a little bit more value. He even gets a couple of these creep tumors. Ragnarok will be able to hold on to this base a little bit longer, but the hatchery itself should fall. Ragnarok just needs to buy time here to build up more of his army. He's trying to get eyes on a 3rd base, but there is none. Because there isn't a 3rd, like, again, Ragnarok he can afford to lose a hatchery. He has to take this slow and steady. Slow and steady does win the race. 3rd CC is now on the way here for ByuN. This is a 9-minute 3rd? 9-minute 30 3rd? Very late. Very late and very delayed. As ByuN isn't gonna force it, which I do appreciate as well. He's got 3 more tanks in the back. Like, his macro is insane. Like, ByuN's army is pretty comparable to that of Ragnarok, to be honest. Like, even though Ragnarok is far ahead economically, like, the armies are still very close. Especially considering that Ragnarok has a harassing force as well. ByuN, he's got 5 tanks with his army. This is still terrifying. He can still take a fight. He can still take it here to Ragnarok. We do see Lynx coming from behind. A full surround is being set up. A pseudo surround as a lot of Banelings are going to get targeted down by those tanks. The tanks, they do remain alive. It looks like the Marines are going to be forced to pick up. The tanks do get focused down by the Hydras, just barely. Did feel like overall an efficient trade for ByuN, but losing all those tanks was something he could not afford to do. Couldn't afford to lose all those tanks. GG gets called, and Ragnarok will take game number 1. GG, well played. Again, ByuN was in a really rough position to begin with. Again, like, that Bane bust from Ragnarok did so much damage, and a lot of that is just because, yeah, Ragnarok, he, in a way, hard countered the 4-axe. Very well. Very well there by Ragnarok. Going for that fast Evo chamber, going for +1 carapace, going for the Banelings. Going all in. Now it's going to be on ByuN to bring it back. Game 2 on Royal Blood. Now, if you're curious about the responses to 4-axes, this is one of the more extreme responses. No one else does this. You know, players like Sterile, players like Dark, going for an all-in against a 4-axe isn't like, you can macro out of it, you can survive it, and you can go into a longer game. And it's usually really risky to try to go for a Bane boss like this. Especially because, again, Ragnarok was working towards it before he even scattered anything. But here we go. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have... Oh. There we go. We have the South Korean Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion currently down in this series. But not out. It is ByuN. And spawning. In the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Mystery Gaming. It is Ragnarok. Ragnarok 1 game away from advancing on into a qualifying match. 1 game away from 2-0ing ByuN, as ByuN once again goes for a 2-axe opener. This is for 3 Reapers. Now, I mentioned it before. Just because ByuN is going for a 2-axe opener doesn't mean it's going to be a 4-axe. 4-axe is the more common follow-up. It's very common. That's why Ragnarok hard countered it last game. More often than not, it is a 4-axe, but ByuN can go into a 2-1-1 from here. He can go into a 3cc build from here. He can go into even a 3-axe. Again, ByuN doesn't typically do the same thing 2 games in a row. The same follow-up. I mean, 2 games in a row. 2-axe, of course. Every game. Every game's a 2-axe, Bobby. Every game. Yeah. As the depot is being thrown down on the high ground, we do see Ragnarok this time going for a hatch gas pool opener, so far less aggressive. If you remember, game 1, Ragnarok went for a pool first. He went for a spawning pool first, front and center. Again, I do believe that was because of Babylon. I do think that Babylon favors aggression, and the obvious thing to do on Babylon is a 4-axe. So this time Ragnarok is going to be taking this a little bit more safe, or a little bit more economic. I say a little bit because Ragnarok doesn't pull out of gas. He stays into gas, which means he's rushing into link speed. He is not pulling out even further, by the way, so we can work towards another quick Baneling nest. Uh-oh. Oh boy. So this is looking like aggression here from Ragnarok. We can go into a Baneling nest, we can go into a fast lair, we can go into a Roach Warren. He has options. Typically, there's no need for gas this early on unless you're going to use it. Back at home, there's the 3rd Rax, and it looks like ByuN may just go for a 4-axe again. I know I was harping on the fact that ByuN often mixes things up, and he often goes for different builds and different follow-ups, and he has the capacity to do so. I stand by that. But this looks like a 4-axe. We should be seeing another one behind this, or this could be the 3-axe that we saw in Kung Fu Cup. So, in Kung Fu Cup, we saw a 2-base. It was a 2-base all-in off of 3 Raxes. Of course, we actually still did throw down a factory, I believe, and a starport, but it was a very different follow-up here from ByuN. It's really peculiar. Meanwhile, with that fast gas, we have an Evo Chamber, we have +1 at Carapace on the way. Okay, so from my understanding, if I remember correctly, this hits a little. This is supposed to hit an offbeat timing. I believe we hit later. I believe we hit a little bit later instead. Stim is going to be finishing up at the same time. Combat shields will be faster here for ByuN. Boy. And we'll see how he does pull this off. Meanwhile, back at home, Ragnarok, he's got a Baneling Nest on the way. Like, Ragnarok is still preparing for a 4-axe nonetheless. He's not just preparing for a 4-axe, he's preparing to counterattack after that. Overlord dives into the main base, and there it is. There's the factory. So we should be seeing a factory and a starport behind this, but I don't think we transition. I think we stay on 2 bases, if I'm not mistaken. There's the engine bay as well. So ByuN is going to push in. I believe he's going to feign aggression and then back off. I don't think he's going to commit, but we'll see. We'll see what he does. As Ragnarok is getting ready to defend, we have Banelings being morphed in. ByuN is looking to dance with the army. He goes for the scan. He cleans up a good amount of the creep. The Banelings are now done. We're going for another surround. Don't quite go for it though. We don't have the creep. Don't have the creep. The Reapers at least are going to be going down, but again, we want the Marine army. I feel like ByuN should back off. And there we go. Now ByuN is just going to run back home. So again, a 4-axe would have stuck around. A 4-axe would have attempted to kill the hatchery. Now, Ragnarok's all in. Ragnarok, he's responding to this with mass Ling Bane. Oh, he misses the reinforcements, but he is setting up for a surround. The Banelings are being focused now, though. There are only 3. There are only 5 left. Up, up. The surround is real. The Banelings are trying to roll on in. They're trying to find the connections. It looks like ByuN is being cleaned up. Not just that. Ragnarok, he wants to keep on pushing. He wants to break the natural. What do we have at him to defend? Nothing. There's nothing here. There's a handful of Marines with stim, which is great, but there's no bunker. There's no tank. There's no nothing. Oh. ByuN is in trouble. ByuN is in a lot of trouble right now. So I assumed he was just going to back off and go back home, but no, he committed into a second push. And now, I mean, what else can I say, Papi? The depots do go down. The E-bays go down as well. The natural bases forfeit. The wall is not a wall, especially on top of this ramp. Ay, ay, ay. And Ragnarok is snowballing out of control. Lings, they get in from behind as well. GG gets called. And Ragnarok does it. He takes down ByuN 2-0. GG. Oh my god. And that's what I'm saying. I said this the last time we casted Ragnarok versus ByuN a couple of weeks ago, where I was like, it feels like Ragnarok, he fully understands like this play style of ByuN, and unlike a lot of the other Zerg players out there, Ragnarok is willing to go all in. He's willing to just cut workers at 40. That's it. That's all he needs, and just kill ByuN and punish the late factory. That's the biggest weakness here of 3-axes and 4-axes, is that you delay your factory so much that you don't have a tank. You don't have any factory units to defend. So if your Marines get surrounded, if your bio army gets cleaned up, I mean, you can't defend against a Bane Bust. You straight up cannot. We saw that even in game one he survived, but that was only because of the bunker. And that was only because Ragnarok chose not to focus down the bunker as well, if you remember, in the natural base. Even if there was a bunker, like, it would still fall here to the Bane Bust of Ragnarok. And yeah, with that, GG, well played. Very well played.